Welcome everyone. We're here today with Cameron Jones, who's one of our experts for Love You, sitting on our panel. Cameron has an amazing business called Innovate that he's been running for nearly 25 years. Very successful, located in Oatley. So welcome. Thanks for sitting with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Tell us about your business.
So would be classed as a medium-sized architectural firm. We do from residential, commercial and industrial projects, and of varying sizes from all over Sydney and up North Coast, South Coast, everywhere.
So in terms of different residential, commercial, what's your favourite? What do you like doing? I know you like going into council. I know you love the council people, but aside from that?
Probably the residential side would be the passion that we have here. We've been fairly lucky to get niched into some fairly high-end residential projects.
Yep.
So I think, although in saying that, some of our favourite projects have been small alteration additions, and seeing how it's changed people's lives from the outcome has been amazing. So, but I would say residential would be probably the top of the pick.
And you do a complete knockdown and mostly restart?
So we do whatever the client is after. We can do a renovation, a simple renovation, to a complete knockdown and complete supervision through the whole project. So there's all sorts of varying levels of service that we provide, as well as varying levels or varying degrees of projects that we deal with. So it's really, and that's the beauty of what we do, it's changing every day. We're doing something slightly different every day, which is great.
Well, interesting you say that. I looked on your website, and you know, some architects, they always have the same look. I know when I was living in the east, every time you drove through Dover Heights, it's the same house after the same house after, you know, it's clearly that it's an architect that has the same look. You've got such a varying look that you do. How many architects have you got here?
So we've got a team of about 13. There's about 6, I think, architects in here. One of the things that we do pride ourselves on is that we try not to have a look, so to speak. What we try to do is to collaborate with the owner as best we can to come up with the style that they're after. And once we know the style that they're after, we do the best we possibly can, both research and design-wise, to produce that style for them. I think it's really important to know that it's actually not our house, it's their house. We've got to give them what they want.
So what do you do if they really wanted something that you were just going, oh, this is just going to look terrible? How do you guide them to a better decision?
It's difficult. You can only give a person so much advice, and if they really want it, and if that's what they want, and they're paying you as a professional to do it, well, you do it, and you do the best possible job you can on it. It's very rare it happens. Generally, people do a little bit of research about you, and will have a look at what you can do, and they'll sort of gravitate towards you for that sort of style.
Do you have a favourite house that you've done?
I think we've got a lot of favourite houses. I think Nautilus, it won Best Project in Australia recently. So
wow,
that
congratulations.
Was an amazing project to be involved in. But again, smaller projects that we've done, we did a house on Windy Point at Cronulla that we did it nearly 10 years ago, and it still turns up in people's design briefs today as a photo of a house that they say, we love this house, and even if they don't know I did it, which is fantastic. So it's good.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So tell me, if you were speaking to a couple that were about to renovate, what would be the best piece of advice you could give them?
Research and get a good architect. I think don't just look at the style of work the architect does, meet, and you've got to feel really comfortable with your architect. It's almost like a relationship. It's one of the biggest investments you'll ever make.
Because you spend a lot of time together.
Huge amount of time together.
Like what, sort of 12 months, 2 years?
It can be up to 3 years.
Oh, wow.
So you're working together for a long, long time, and you have to really feel comfortable with who you work with. Once you've established that you are comfortable to work with that architect, my advice would be, and it's probably a little bit self-serving, but the more documentation you get from that architect, the better the project's going to run for you. It means that there's less problems through the project.
We have a strategic property buyer sitting as one of our experts, and we interviewed her the other day, and she was saying one of the first things she does is she gives a questionnaire to the wife and a questionnaire to the husband, and they answer it separately. So then she's really clear on where she's sitting. She said because they're so different, they come back in, and then you can kind of get to the middle of where. Do you find that happens with what you're doing?
Sometimes I do feel a little bit like a counsellor in some of our meetings, because there's some very different opinions that you deal with. It's about finding a middle ground and coming up with something that's going to satisfy both parties. But it's generally okay. Most people are on the same page. I do err towards the wife a little bit more than the husband.
You do?
I think it's probably a smart decision. So
You're very wise. So you're married to a beautiful friend of mine who's also one of our experts. So she's part of our community. Why would you encourage her to be part of a women's community?
Oh, it's fairly simple. I think it's like what we do in business here. We collaborate on ideas, and the best outcomes are from collaboration. So if there's a group of like-minded women that can get together and share experiences and ideas, why wouldn't you do it? It's a fantastic idea.
Yeah.
And I applaud you for doing it. I think it's
Thank
fantastic.
you. And lastly, so as part of the feedback that we've got from all of our amazing members is that they want to bring their husbands to an event. So we take on board all their feedback and we're going to put together a date night around business and sports. Now, if you could choose a sports person that you'd love to see, who would it be?
Look at it. I mean,
What's your favourite sport, first of all?
look, I have a lot of favourite sports. I mean,
Yeah,
World
you're a
Cup soccer at the
sports mad,
moment,
aren't you?
and I do love my St George Dragons. But if I had to say a favourite sports person, would probably be someone like Steve Waugh, ex-Australian cricket captain.
Oh, that's a good one.
I think he would be amazing. I've been fortunate enough to meet him, and I think it would be. Yeah, he's a very inspirational person.
Now, I've heard him speak. He's great. Yeah.
He's excellent. Yep.
And who's your favourite athlete? Is he your favourite athlete also?
I think so. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
his determination in just grit in in that particular sport is just beyond belief. It's amazing. And I mean, there's so many favourite sportsmen out there. I
Yeah.
just admire them all. I think they're amazing.
What sport do you play?
Not much. I do a bit of cycling and a bit of exercise, but yeah, not much other than cycling.
What was your favourite sport that you played when you were younger? I know you've got kids that you do lots of sports and you're always watching sports with them.
Look, I love soccer and played a little bit of rugby, limited rugby, but basketball, tennis, a bit of indoor cricket, so all that stuff.
Anything to do with the ball?
Anything, yeah. Unfortunately, not very good at it, but I did try.
Okay. Well, we do have later on an event coming up where Cameron will be talking about all things about architecture. So look out for him. Look out for him on our website. You can be linked into his website and see all the fantastic work that he's doing. So thanks for being here today.
Thank you for having me.